We are live, so the whole world can see us. So we're going to read about Lord.
Turn that off.
Yeah, it'd be good if you could turn off the beeping. We're going to read about Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Vrindavana. I thought that would be a very nice section of the Caitanya Charitamrita. Actually, there's many devotees who read for several hours a day of Srila Prabhupada's books, because reading Srila Prabhupada's books puts you in association directly with Srila Prabhupada, who is the best association. And then by being in association with Prabhupada, your heart gets cleansed and you become happy. That's the solution to all problems. Okay. So first we'll chant. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Ballabha Iribadu Radhe
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Ballabha Iribadu Radhe.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Sudanandana Braja Jana Ranjaguna
Sudanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Sudanandana Raja Jana Ranjaguna
Sudanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Jamuna Te Ravana Chari Yamuna Te Ravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gaur Premananda Haribo. All glories the assemble devotees, all glories the assemble devotees, all glories the assemble devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're going to read from the Caitanya Charitamrita, Madya Lila, chapter 9, about Lord Caitanya's visit to Vrindavan. So I'll just read the English and the purports too. So Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, so Om Gana Tiviranda Shadavanjana Shlakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu traveled all over Vrindavan and pleased all living entities, moving and non-moving, with his glances. The Lord took much personal pleasure in seeing everyone. In this way, Lord Gaurachandra traveled in Vrindavan. All glories to Lord Gaurachandra, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Caitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu danced in ecstasy, but when he arrived at a Rita Grama, his sense perception was awakened. So Prabhupada explains, and we're going to go there tomorrow, that Arita Grama is also called Arishta Grama. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu understood that in that village, Arishta Shura was killed by Sri Krishna. While there, he inquired about Radhakund, but no one could tell him where it was. The Brahmanas accompanying him could also not ascertain its whereabouts. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could then understand that the holy places known as Radhakund and Shamakund were at that time lost to everyone's vision. He therefore discovered Radhakund and Shamakund, which were two reservoirs of water in two paddy fields. Although there was very little water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient and could understand that formerly these two ponds were called Sri Radhakund and Shamakund. In this way, Radhakund and Shamakund were discovered. Very interesting. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the local people, so here's the story, "Where is Radhakund?" No one could inform him, and the Brahmana accompanying him did not know either. The Lord then understood that the holy place called Radhakund was no longer visible. However, being the omniscient, that means he could see everything, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he discovered Radhakund and Shamakund in two paddy fields. There was only a little water, but he took his bath there. When the people of the village saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking his bath in those two ponds in the middle of the paddy fields, they were very astonished. The Lord then offered his prayers to Sri Radhakund. Of all the gopis, Radharani is the dearmost. Similarly, the lake known as Radhakund is very dear to the Lord because it is very dear to Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is most dear to Lord Krishna, and her lake is known as Radhakund and is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. That's actually a verse from the Padma Purana. In that lake, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani used to sport daily in the water and have a rasa dance on the bank. Indeed, Lord Krishna gives ecstatic love like that of Srimati Radharani to whoever bathes in that lake, even once in his life. So let me explain a little bit about that. So
you get ecstatic love like Srimati Radharani?
Yeah, like that of Srimati Radharani. Like that, similar, not the same, not Mahabhav or anything like that. But it's like a facsimile. You know, in other words, it's a reflection of the love that Radharani feels for Krishna. One gets it bathing that lake even once in his life. So, the point is, what's your mind?
Anybody came in the room 13?
13? I have no idea. 13 is a bad number. It's an unlucky number. I don't even think of that number. So the point is, tomorrow we're going to go around Radhakund, and actually the upper half of Govardhana. And the day after tomorrow we'll do the full parikrama of Radhakund, seeing all the temples or the main temples there. So the devotees asked the question whether they should bathe in Radhakund because of the statement there. Prabhupada said, after he saw the devotees not having the proper respect for Radhakund, Prabhupada said the devotees should just take some water on their heads. Because Radhakund is, in one sense, as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radharani. So one should think, at least this is how I think, and certainly I hope my disciples think similarly. One should think that they do not want to put their feet on something that is dear to Krishna or someone that is dear to Krishna as Radharani. Think about it. Like, would you put your feet on the deity? I mean, even to think about that is just like, no way. So I think about Radhakund like that too. So therefore, there's several options. One can sprinkle some water on their head. Actually, I had one disciple who didn't accept that, and she left the Krishna conscious movement, became like a real non-devotee. Anyway, because she didn't accept my instruction. So it was very dangerous. So there are several options. One can take a few drops of water, or as some of the Radhakund Vasis do, They actually take a loda and put the loda in there and take a bath in that way. And that way you're not putting your feet actually in the kund itself. I know the water hits your feet, I understand that, but you're not putting your feet in the kund itself. So I think that would be acceptable, if you really want to do that. Not tomorrow morning when I'm there. You can do that at a separate time. You take some water and pour it on your head. Because many of the people who live at Radhakund actually think like that too. And they don't go put their feet in. Yeah.
But Radha Kripa Kataksha prayer?
Huh?
Radha Kripa Kataksha prayer?
Yeah.
Last Shiva says that you have to coincide or you have to chant this prayer like I did actually last time.
Yeah. So, but Prabhupada's instruction is just put some water on your head. And it's the same thing. Prabhupada said you get the same benefit. So Prabhupada's our spiritual master and he tells us what to do. I mean, in the past, I've actually gone fully into Radhakund too, I have to admit it. But after doing that, I realized I didn't want to put my feet in Radhakund. So, the only other way I could take a full bath is to have someone hold my feet and dip me in. Someone really strong. I don't think anybody here is that strong. And to hold, dip me in and hold the feet up in the air while I'm hanging upside down. So, anyway, I think it's very important to be reverential with Radhakund. And in that way, Radharani will give you her mercy. And actually, if you want Radharani's mercy, then Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. And if you carry out Caitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction of assisting his movement, and at least assisting in the preaching if you're not preaching directly, then you get Radharani's mercy. I mean, if you please Prabhupada, basically, if you serve Prabhupada's mission, I think, I don't just think, I know that Radharani will give you the full mercy. So it's not that, I've seen many people who did bathe in Radhakund, and many people who left the Krishna consciousness movement. Either left ISKCON or they left Krishna consciousness completely. What's that?
What's our attitude towards people who do, who might be another something?
We respect.
Or walk on Govardhana. Is it just like a transcendental difference?
Well, the people who walk on Govardhana are Brajavasis. They're the ones who live here. They have a different relationship. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised some of his followers that when they go to Vrindavana or Braj, just to spend a short amount of time, he actually advised Jagannananda Pandit particularly about this, because they are on a different level, even though they appear to be, let's say, not chanting their rounds every day, or doing sadhana. Anyone who's born in Braj, who actually lives in Braj, is on a different level. Krishna is very close to them, so we don't criticize anyone else. That's just our realization, I'm just telling you my realization. Obviously, if someone does that, that's their relationship with Krishna. It's not our business to intrude on someone else's relationship with Krishna unless the person happens to be under our jurisdiction, like disciple or something like that. Then it's the Guru's business. But otherwise, we don't put our nose into other people's business, spiritual business. That's their relationship. For them, it may be perfectly all right. Everybody has a different connection with Krishna. But for us, like Prabhupada said, be very careful about Radhakund. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said the same thing. All right? So, anyway, so if you take water at least once on your head, then you're given ecstatic love like that of Srimati Radharani. However, if you commit offenses to Radhakund, then that may take a long time to realize that ecstatic love. Like I mentioned, I had another friend who wasn't a disciple, and he went to Radhakund, and he left ISKCON, went to Radhakund, thought he was so intelligent, and then found fault in the Babajis there, criticized the Babajis, which is also bad, because these are these great souls are residing in Radhakund. We don't criticize anyone here. And then he eventually became a Buddhist. That's amazing, going from Radhakund Basi, to becoming a Buddhist. And then eventually he started eating meat. So he fell all the way down. From the highest position, he thought, ISKCON is not giving me what I need. So he went to Radhakund, and then he thought the Babaji, who he was taking shelter of, was not giving him what he needed. And then, boom, he bit the dust. So one has to be very careful. You don't criticize anyone, that's their business. Don't put your nose into other people's business. So, continue reading. The attraction of Radhakund is as sweet as that of Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the glories of the Kund lake are as glorious as Srimati Radharani. Wow. Because of its wonderful transcendental qualities, Radhakund is as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radharani. It was in that lake that the all-opulent Lord Krishna performed his pastimes with Srimati Radharani with great pleasure and transcendental bliss. Whoever bathes just once in Radhakund attains Srimati Radharani's loving attraction for Sri Krishna. Who within this world can describe the glories and sweetness of Sri Radhakund? And this is a verse from the Govinda Lilamrita. So, next text. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu thus offered prayers to Radhakund. Overwhelmed by ecstatic love, he danced on the bank. Remembering the pastimes of Lord Krishna, he performed in his previous appearance on the bank of Radhakund. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then marked his body with tilak made from the mud of Radhakund, and with the help of Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he collected some of the mud and took it with him. Another point is, Prabhupada said we should not use that tilak. Although you'll find people selling the tilak, Prabhupada said we should stick with our particular... this was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy. What Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did in ecstasy, we should not copy necessarily unless we're advised to do that. So, when a devotee showed up in front of Prabhupada wearing the mud from Radhakund, Prabhupada said, no, you should wear the standard Gopi Chanda tilak. So, in other words, we have to really understand our connection with Prabhupada. We can shop or we can speculate about what we should do. Prabhupada said not to do this, but it's all right. The devotees are doing it anyway. But it's important to really cement our connection to Prabhupada. And that's what I do in my life. I try at my best just to be always connected to Prabhupada, because without Prabhupada, we have no connection with Krishna. And if we think we're connected with Krishna without Prabhupada, it's just like we're in an illusion. Like Prabhupada one time said, anyone who thinks he can become Krishna conscious outside of the Krishna conscious movement is living an hallucination. That means he's like taking LSD, basically. So, important point. From Radhakund, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Samana Lake. When he saw Govardhana hill from there, he was overwhelmed by joy. When the Lord saw Govardhana hill, he immediately offered obeisances. Falling down on the ground like a rod, he embraced one piece of rock from Govardhana hill and became mad. Mad with ecstatic love, the Lord came to the village known as Govardhana, which we're going to tomorrow too. It was there that he saw the deity Haridev and offered his obeisances unto him. Haridev is an incarnation of Narayana, and his residence is on the western petal of the lotus of Mathura. Mad with ecstatic love, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to dance before the Haridev deity. Hearing of the Lord's wonderful activities, all the people came to see him. So as far as Haridev is concerned, well, actually we'll read a little more and then I'll tell the story. The people were astonished when they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love and personal beauty. The priests who serve the Haridev deity offer the Lord a good reception. So, as far as the Haridev deity is concerned, it's a very interesting story that once upon a time, Krishna was hiding from the gopis. And when he was hiding from the gopis were just looking for him all over the place. And they were chanting, Haridev, Haridev, Haridev. And the deity of Haridev manifested himself. And it's a deity of Krishna holding Govardhana Hill up. You don't see Govardhana Hill, but he has, the pinky of his left hand up. And we're going to see that deity tomorrow. So the Acharyas state, of course the deity that we'll see tomorrow was installed later. It's not the original deity that the gopis saw. So anyway, so as far as the Acharyas and the deity of Haridev are concerned, the Acharyas say that before we do Govardhana Parikrama, which we didn't do actually, one should go to see Haridev and get permission. He's supposed to be the first deity that we see. So anyway, we did things a little differently today. But we're going to see him tomorrow. That'll be one of the first things, and perhaps I think it'll be the first thing. No, we'll actually, it'll be the first thing we see as we walk through the city of Govardhana. It's a beautiful old temple, a Haridev temple. So at Brahmakund, next thing is Lord Chaitanya went to Brahmakund. Brahmakund is right next to the Haridev temple. It's in disrepair right now. And it's a complete mess. Anyway, that's the kund that Lord Brahma came down and also bathed Krishna, and he kept the water from his kamandalu there. At Brahmakund, Bhattacharya cooked food, and the Lord, after taking his bath at Brahmakund, accepted his lunch. That night, the Lord stayed at the temple of Haridev. So in other words, he slept there. Pretty good. That's one of the places Lord Chaitanya slept. And during the night, he began to reflect. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, since I shall not at any time climb Govardhana Hill, how shall I be able to see Gopal Rai? So, as far as Gopal Rai is concerned, that's the deity that Madhavendra Puri discovered. That Madhavendra Puri came to Govardhana, and he was at Govindakund, which we saw this morning, and he was basically not eating because he had taken the vow of not eating unless someone offered him prasad. He wouldn't even ask for it. That's a very renounced sannyasi, which is the opposite of me. Because not only do I ask for it, I cook myself. And I go shopping myself, and I cook myself to make sure that I can eat nicely. So, not exactly the same as Madhavendra Puri. So anyway, Madhavendra Puri, he was basically fasting, and Krishna came, and Madhavendra Puri didn't recognize him as Krishna. Krishna came with some milk, and he offered to him, and he said, in my village, no one fasts. And that night, Madhavendra Puri had a dream, and he realized the person who gave him the milk was Krishna. And Krishna said, I'm buried in the bushes here, so you should come and rescue me and worship me. So he went to the bushes right near the town of Anyor, actually right in the middle of Anyor, next to the hill. It's called the Gopal Prakat Stali, where he found Gopal. And he took a bunch of men and they cleared out all the bushes and thorn trees and everything, and they found the deity there. And it took many men, and they moved him to the top of Govardhana Hill, the spot I showed you today. And they had this Anakut ceremony, which means they offered mountains of different types of food to the deity, and bathing to the deity, and everything like that. And then the deity was kept on Govardhana Hill. And so the Acharyas had to climb Govardhana Hill to take care of the deity. But Lord Chaitanya wanted to see the deity, and he didn't want to climb Govardhana Hill because he thought, and it's true, that Govardhana is the same as Krishna. He's definitely Vishnu Tattva. That's why We worship Govardhana Shilas on our altar. So anyway, so Lord Chaitanya was thinking like that, but he really wanted to see him. Of course, nowadays, Gopal is not there anymore. He's in Natwa, and he's known as Nachi or Srinachi. And generally, he's worshipped by people from Gujarat. They love Srinachi. And the way they worship him is quite interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen Srinachi being worshipped, but they put toys on the altar. Because he's a little boy. Srinachi, so they actually, like sometimes they put little train sets and different things so he can play with them. Interesting type of deity worship. So anyway, and some of our temples we have Nachi deities, like in New Vrindavana there's a Nachi deity there. So anyway, so Lord Chaitanya wanted to see him and he couldn't. So thinking in this way, the Lord remained silent, and Lord Gopal, knowing Lord Chaitanya's contemplation, played a trick. Coming down from Govardhana Hill, Lord Gopal granted an interview to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was unwilling to climb the hill, thinking himself a devotee of Lord Krishna. Gopal stayed in a village called Anakut Grama on Govardhana Hill. The villagers who lived in that village were mainly from Rajasthan. So Prabhupada says the village named Anakut Grama is referred to in the Bhakti Ratnakara, fifth wave. Here's the quote. It is here that all the gopis and the gopas enjoyed wonderful pastimes with Sri Krishna. Therefore, this place is also called Anior. Remember, we went there today. Went through Anior, which means, give me more, give me more. This Anakut ceremony was celebrated here. O Srinivas, whoever sees this place has all of his desires fulfilled. Wow. It is also stated, look at the dense forest near the Kunda. It was there that Gopal was concealed. Also, the Stavavali, by Raghunath Das Goswami states, where's the translation? There's no translation. So let me see if I can translate. Rajendra Varyar Vitapogam Uchai. This is where Vrajendra Nandana was offered Boga. Surrender Radham Talam Devotee Yatrana Katam Tadaham Prabhati. I surrender unto him. One person who came to the village, the reason he came down from the hill is the person came to the village and informed the inhabitants that Turkish soldiers are now preparing to attack your village. Flee this village tonight. Do not allow one person to remain. Take the deity with you and leave, for the Mohammedan soldiers will come tomorrow. Hearing this, all the villagers became very anxious. They first took Gopal and moved him to a village known as Gantuli. So Gantuli is a village a little distance from Govardhana Hill, and it's called Gantuli. Gant means like a knot, tying, like that. So that's where Radha and Krishna actually had a marriage ceremony, a play marriage ceremony, where they're dhoti, or not, don't want to say dhoti, Krishna doesn't wear dhoti, Krishna West. So anyway, so where Krishna's garments. Interesting. Actually, Krishna didn't wear a dhoti. He wore a cloth, but not a dhoti. Certainly not a Bengali style dhoti. So where Krishna's cloth was tied to Radharani's cloth. It's like a marriage ceremony where they tie the two cloths together. And near Gantuli, there's another place called Gulal Kund, where Krishna and Radharani celebrated a holy festival. And every year it said that the Kund turned certain colors, even without colors being thrown into it. So, very special place. So they took Gopal to this village of Gantuli. Actually, I've been to all these places. The Gopal deity was kept in the house of a Brahmin, and his worship was conducted secretly. Everyone fled, and thus the village of Anakut was deserted. In other words, Anyor was deserted. That's the village of Anakut. Due to the fear of the Mohammedans, the Gopal deity was moved from one place to another again and again, thus giving up his temple. Lord Gopal would sometimes live in a bush and sometimes in one village or another. In the morning, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath in a lake called the Manasa Ganga. I'm going to go there tomorrow. He then circumambulated Govardhana Hill. So the Manasa Ganga, I'll tell a story about that. Once upon a time, Krishna, that's good, I tell the story now so you remember it tomorrow when we get there. Once upon a time, Krishna killed a calf. The calf's name was Vatsasura. And when Krishna killed the calf, that is prohibited. Krishna did something really bad by killing the calf. Of course, the calf was a demon. So, but still, you're not supposed to kill calves. So the cowherd boys said, you have become contaminated. So you should go to the Ganges. And Krishna said, I am not going to leave Vrindavana or Braj. So he created the Ganges from his mind. That's what it's called, the Manasa Ganga. And later on, just to prove that it was the Ganga, when Nanda Maharaj wanted to go to the Ganga, Krishna had Ganga Devi herself come out of this Manasa Ganga and attest to the fact that the Ganga was there. And many pastimes occurred in this Manasa Ganga too. There's a famous pastime told by the Acharyas that once upon a time, the gopis, they wanted to cross the Manasa Ganga because the Manasa Ganga is the biggest lake, and it was bigger over 5,000 years ago. So the gopis wanted to cross the Manasa Ganga and take their milk products to the other side so they could go to Govardhana, which we went to today. And they couldn't find a boat to cross. And finally they looked around and around and around, and they found an old boat with an old boatman. And he looked like about 85 years old. And they thought, well, he's the only one. So they went to the old boatman, and they said, please take us across the Manasa Ganga. And this old boatman was actually Krishna, making believe he was an old boatman. So they got in the boat, and then what happened? After they got a little bit into the water, Krishna said, I have no energy. Let me take some of your milk products to get energy. So they gave him some of the milk products. And then he said, well, now I'm tired after eating. So you should massage me. And these are chaste girls, they just thought, we're not going to touch this guy, an old, dirty old man, so to speak. And so they said, we're not going to touch you. The only way we'll touch you is by grabbing you and throwing you in the river, in the lake. And so just row. And so Krishna started to row. Then the boat started to sink. And he said, well, you got to throw some of the weight off. So throw your milk products off. And the boat was still sinking. And then he said, I guess you just have to throw your clothes and jewelry off too. And Krishna said, and the gopis said, we're not going to do that. We're going to throw you off. Then the boat started rocking back and forth, and the gopis got really scared. And Radharani, who was on the boat too, saw that there was a flute tucked in Krishna's belt, and she understood it was Krishna. And she embraced him at that point. So that's a pastime that occurred. And you'll see the Manasa Ganga. Actually, connected to the Manasa Ganga is the mouth of Govardhana. It's called the Mukharavinda temple. It means the mouth of Govardhana. And you'll see the devotees worshipping the mouth and offering food practically 24 hours a day to the mouth of Govardhana.